Hey everybody, this video is going to go over metric prefixes. We're going to be on this page of the packet, the SI base unit page. So first off, I just wanted to start by saying that when we're in science classes, we do a lot of measuring. And so in chemistry, what we use the most is grams, which is measuring mass, and we abbreviate that with a G. We sometimes use seconds, and we would abbreviate that with an S. We use meters, which is a measurement for length, and we abbreviate that with an M. And we also do liters, which is a unit of volume, and we abbreviate that with an L. Well, sometimes when we're measuring, our measurements tend to get really large or really small. And so sometimes we want to convert these units into another measurement value to convey what we're talking about in an easier way. Now, what you'll notice here is that all of these are represented by just a single letter. That means that they're base units, which fall right here on this chart down here, base units. And I'm going to put off to the side here that these are represented by a single letter. So when these get really small or really large, what we're going to do is we're going to put one of these prefixes on there, and we would put that in front of these unit measurements up here. All right, so we could put a K in front of the G, and that would represent kilograms. We could put an M in front of the S to represent milliseconds. We could put a C in front of this M to represent centimeters. Okay, so what you see here is that we have now not just a single letter anymore, but we have a letter in front of another letter. This first letter is going to represent the prefix, whereas the second letter represents the unit or the measurement itself. Okay, so the first letter is the prefix, the second letter is the unit. So let's go ahead and fill out this chart. The K is going to represent kilo, like kilometer or kilograms. H is for hecta. DA is for deca. Now remember this right here, this row here, that's our base unit. They do not get a prefix, it's just a single letter. The little d is deci. The C is for centi. And the M is for milli. So what this column over here is telling us is that each of these prefixes represents a factor of the base unit. So all of these measurements going up are a multiple of that. So a kilometer, a kilo, is 1,000 times the size of a base unit, whereas a milli, which is 1,000th of the base unit, is a much, much smaller value there. All right, so when we get to this n to the 10, or 10 to the n, excuse me, that's just putting the factor into an exponential form. So 10 to the 3 because there's 3 zeros, 10 to the second because there's 2 zeros, 10 to the 1, and then 10 to the 0 here because there's no zeros. Then down here where we're just a fraction of our base unit, we're going to get a negative number, so that's -1 representing it's a smaller value, 10 to the -2, 2 because there's 2 zeros, negative because it's a smaller value, and 10 to the -3. Now, I personally don't use this information here in the chart to convert. I just count to see how many times I need to go to move my decimal point to get from one place to another place. Let's say I want to find out how many meters are in 532 centimeters. I want to find out how many meters. Well, I'm saying that I'm starting here at 532 centimeters, and I'm trying to find out how many meters. And I know it's the base unit because there's no prefix. Well, that means that I am going to be having to get this into this. So I have to multiply this number by 1/100th. So I have to move my decimal point 2 times to the left. So I have to move my decimal point 2 times to the left in order to get up to meters. Is that too confusing? Well, let's see here. Let me erase this up here at the top. And I'm going to write this little sentence. We have like a little mnemonic device. I don't want to erase everything. I might have to. It's kind of taking a while here. I don't want to erase, sorry. The mnemonic device kind of helps us to see and visualize a little bit better about what we're going to do. So we have Kingwood High does, and right here, this could change. This could be math, grammar, science. This is our base unit. And then we have during class Mondays. So if we write this as a sentence instead of this vertical chart here, this sentence tells us which way to move our decimal point. So going back to this example, if we're starting at centimeters, that's class. So if we're starting at 532 here, and we're trying to get to no prefix meters here, I have to move my decimal point 2 times. And the sentence tells me which direction to move my decimal point. It tells me I want to move that to the left. So I would have to move it 2 times to the left and get 5.32. So let me move this down a little bit so we can go over some examples here. And I'm just going to rewrite that sentence. Kingwood High does, I'm going to put basics during class Monday. So let's look at this first example. Remember, I said that the first letter is representing the prefix. The second letter is representing the unit. The first letter is what we need to concentrate on. So we're going from a little m, which is here, to a DA, which is here. So I need to move my decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 times to the left. So I go back up to my answer here, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and I have to move it right there. So I get 0.83516. So notice I had to move my decimal point 4 times to get from millimeters to decameters. In my next example, I am going from, oh gosh, there's only one letter. What do we do if there's only one letter? That means that it's a base unit. We're starting right here, our base unit, our basics. And we're going to ml, milliliters. So this is where we're going here. So this time I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 times. I got to add a 0. So 15,250. So notice as I moved to the right, I'm going to be multiplying by a factor. Okay, and in this case, because I had to move it 3 times, I had to multiply by 1,000. So let's do the next example. DG to MG. So DG, that is right here. MG is right here. So remember, I'm looking at that first letter. So I have to move my decimal point 1, 2. So basically, I have to multiply this by 100. So I would get 432. Let's take a look at, I'm trying to think, find one that goes in the other direction. Let me erase this. Whoops. Let me erase this. Let's pick number 4. Again, there's no prefix because it's only a single letter. That's no prefix. That means we start right here in the basics. And then we're going to milliseconds, which is down here. So I have to move 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So that means I'm going to add 3 more zeros onto this number. So what I want you to do is I want you to finish out these other 5 numbers, 5 through 9, and I want you to check your answers against the answer key and Schoology to make sure you know what you're doing as far as metric prefixes go. And let us know if you have any questions.